Yeah.
Greetings, Saints from Los Angeles. We got a little topic that I'd like to discuss, and it's regarding state execution. First of all, let me just say I am a born again, spirit filled, Bible believing Christian who endorses execution. Okay, that might be a contrast to most Christianity today, but hey, since when's that is that been used? A person, and I want to get this very clear, a person can be saved in prison. Yes, salvation and having that person pay for his crime is this side of heaven are two completely different things. A person can be saved, but he still needs to pay for that crime that he did. I believe in fruits that meet for repentance. I'm not one of those cheap, easy, tap them on the shoulder and tell them to say a prayer and tell them they're saved and nothing will ever happen to them. Like a John the Baptist, I believe in fruits meet for repentance. Evidence of your repentance. And I believe that if a person is truly repented in prison, he would admit to his crime, not use the court system to justify what he did. And I believe if a person is truly repentive, then he would honor what the state would do for his crime committed. In other words, I would have more respect for an inmate who got saved and he says, "You need to execute me because that's the law of the land." I would probably consider him having more fruits meet for repentance than some guy who says, "I'm on death row. I found Jesus. Let me out." That doesn't fit very well with somebody like me. In regards, and I'm just making this foundation before I get into my story, in regards to execution, it is not the church's function to kill people. Okay, people tell me all the time, brother, if you like execution, Reuben, how come you're not killing homosexuals? Well, I don't need to execute them. I don't need to stone them. I don't live under the 613 laws of Moses. Quite well, as far as I'm concerned, they're doing a fine job killing themselves. I don't need to pick up a stone and hit them. They're killing themselves with the AIDS virus, syphilis, and the suicide rate among the gays off the charts. I don't need to pick up a stone and do that. They're doing a fantastic job themselves. But I do want government to do their job. This is the function of government according to Romans chapter 13. This is Bible, Romans 13. But if thou wilt do that which is evil, be afraid, for he beareth not the sword in vain, for he is the minister of God, a revenger to execute wrath upon him that doeth evil. That's the function of our government, is to actually execute those guys. Okay, it's not Christianity's job, it is the function of government. They're the ones whom God says shouldn't withhold from bearing that sword. Even with all of our flaws in our court system, in our country, I like the way it's set up. Because when you have one religion execute people, people like you and I die, believe it or not. So I kind of like the system that we have. Even though it's very liberal, even though you have some bad judges, I still appreciate the court system that we have. Because when you get one particular religion, they will overwhelm and kill you based on heresy. Fox's Book of Martyrs, Martyr's Mirror, is a perfect example of what I'm trying to say. With all this, I'd like to talk a little bit about Ohio Governor Mike Winepin. Mike has postponed 3 executions that should have happened this year, and now they're reset for early 2021, including the date scheduled for a Cleveland man who murdered a 23-year-old in the 1980s. This is 1980. This guy was found guilty. Why he's still alive is beyond me. If the court system says that he should be put to death since 1980, I say one appeal and he needs to be put to death. For society. There's verses in the Bible on how to maintain your Christian life. There's verses in the Bible that will tell you how to run a business. There's verses in the Bible that will tell you how to be a good husband, how to run a family, how to preach. You got verses on numerous topics. You got verses in the Bible that tell us execution is the way to do it. You want a nation, you want a country, there needs to be laws, and those laws need to be carried out. And shame on the governor, DeWine. The governor cited, this is his reason, for the state's difficulty in convicting drug companies to sell to the state those lethal injections. And because of that, there has not been one person on death row who has been executed. He's saying because we can't get the drug, we can't execute. Well, Mike, I've got some news for you. Okay, this is me as a Christian in liberal California, Ohio. You guys have given this guy more grace than that criminal. Okay, he has had more grace than that criminal. And if you're looking for drugs as saying you can't execute, there's a lot of different things you can do. I had my dog put to sleep. Very, very difficult for me. When you've got a dog that's been loyal to you, and they inject the dog, and he falls right to sleep in your hands, and his tongue's hanging out. I mean, it would make you shed a tear. Hey, if nobody wants to give you the drugs, Mike, go to the pet hospital and grab some IVs from that and insert it inside of this guy. He needs to die. That's the law. He's not the poor innocent victim. He needs to die, Michael. I would say within 10 or 15 seconds, in most cases, that person will die. According to the governor of Ohio, he wants some changes made. And the changes are not in our favor. There was a guy, his name is Jackson. He was from Cleveland. His new date for execution is June 15th, 2023. That's amazing. This guy killed a 17-year-old and a 3-year-old during an apartment robbery in 2002. He needs to be put to death, Michael. Another guy named James O'Neill, 66. He has to be put to death of August year.